You took a lot of risks with this record, I think. Working with Dave Stewart, you did some songs.
There's a risk.
Well, how did that happen? You and Dave Stewart don't seem like kind of normal combination.
The odd couple. Well, it turned out that we were, actually, we were pretty much alike, I think. I just talked to him the other day. We get along very well, you know, that's been over a year now. I don't know, I think we wrote Don't Come Around Here No More maybe within 30 minutes of meeting each other, which was very unusual for either one of us to even write outside of our groups, you know, but I'd told Jimmy Iovine about David and Annie that when all those groups came over from England that went dink-de-bunk-de-bink-de-bunk, you know, most of them were pretty dreadful, but I thought that they were really good, you know, that they had good songs, and he was looking for songs, and he said, well, who writes songs? And I played him this song, Love is a Stranger, in an open car, you know, on the piano. And I said, they really have good songs, and you should check this guy out. So they came to LA to play, and Jimmy went down and saw them, and then they went back over to the studio where he was working, and they called me up and said, you want to come over? And it was just the right moment, you know. And I said, yeah, I'll come over, you know, nothing going on.
But you did some things with him that you really had not done before. I mean, just from the kind of Memphis stack sound of Make It Better, or the psychedelic sound of Don't Come Around Here No More. Those were really not things people expected from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah, and it's funny because we listened to that music all our life, and it's always been there, like the Memphis stuff and all the R&B stuff, but it was just never exposed. And it was really the common ground we had with David, was that we both liked that music, you know. The album was already pretty well underway when I met David, and it was already a fairly strange album, you know, for us. And David brought in, it was right at a point where we were starting to bog down a little bit. We'd been in there quite a while, and we were getting a little bit tired of it, and then he came in with a whole new burst of energy. And I was making the album at home, and he had he also has his own studio in London. He's not very keen on commercial studios. Neither one of us like them very much, and so.
Why? Because they're too expensive.
They're very expensive if you work the way we do, and they're also just a little. It's a little distracting, and it's. I tend to want to do things when I want to do them. I don't want to, you know, calling rats in, you know, Studio A, and you've got to wait till 3 weeks. You know, you got to book it 4 weeks ahead or something, and by then you've lost the impulse to do it. So for me, it's a good way to work. And so David had a break of about 3 weeks in the tour, and we just wound up every day sitting over at my house and playing with these songs. I think Don't Come Around Here we worked on probably every day for 3 weeks. There's a whole other record that never got on that record. It was 48 tracks, and I mean, there were piccolo trumpets and musical saws and everything, you know. It'd just be David, and then I would sit there and he'd say, cello, let's get a cello, and yeah, why not, bring a cello in.
But as it is for you, it was still extremely kind of embellishing what you'd done before. Do you feel that your 5 albums prior to this were more bare bones of what you've done, and now you have the whole world open to you?
Yeah, I think that, well, the main reason was we'd established one sort of thing. And I thought, you know, we've been together 9 years. If we're going to continue to make Heartbreakers records, then it was important that we go somewhere, that we move on to something and be accepted for us rather than 12 strings or whatever. You know, I wanted to just move on, which wasn't easy. It's a lot of growing pains doing that.
Were you scared?
I wasn't scared ever. I think I got scared when I was finished with it. Maybe like 2 weeks before it came out, when I thought then, oh no, what have I done? You know, what if no one understands? There were times when the group and I would have differences of opinion, you know, where they'd think, you've lost your mind. And I'd say, no, I haven't lost my mind. It's going to be okay. And because it's really just essentially us, the songs. I was very careful to make sure the songs were good. If the songs are good, I felt they could take the experimentation, which some of them were cut in 3 or 4 different arrangements with different tempos, different instruments, different lyrics, you know. But I found that if the songs weren't strong, it got very embarrassing really quick, you know, if you're trying to experiment very much with a bad song, it doesn't hold up.
Are you derisive about a lot of the music that's being made now? You know?
Derisive?
Well, there aren't a lot of songwriters. I mean, there's Springsteen
There's
and
not,
you and
yeah.
Chrissy Hond and a few others that really care about the craft of writing a song.
It does seem to be vanishing to some degree. That's a sort of an egotistical statement, but it's true. You know, because without a song, you don't have much. You know, there's a lot of good players, but there's not many songs.
And there's a lot of videos.
Awful lot of videos. But the songs don't, I don't know, I think in the 60s was my favorite period of music, and most of that, when you look back on it, is really incredible songs. And then I think you had that period where everyone wanted to play, like, say, Eric Clapton or, you know, Jimmy, and they had a lot of guitar players used to run into them that could really play solos all day, but they knew nothing about chords or chord structure, you know. So, I don't know, I think a lot of really mediocre songs tend to pass by these days. You know, tend to, I don't think the audience is offered nearly what they should be as far as songs, no.
Is it hard for you to put your songs and videos together, because having been involved so much with a song, and you know, with a song there's so much mystery and illusion involved, imagination, and then to come up with a video to match it.
It's the sad thing about videos, because, I mean, they're here, I mean, there's no reason to be shy. The sad thing is that, you know, you know, I like to make up my own movies in my head, the songs, and when you have one that you've seen so much, it does tend to get stuck in your brain when you hear that song. What we try to do is just make them entertaining, you know. I get fairly amused and offended at the ones that are trying to send me some sort of message. I never really understand what message they're sending. A lot of them, you know, seem to like, you know, like having your girlfriend leave you on national TV seems strange to me, you know, or dancing through dry ice or whatever. Most of them, I think it's more of an entertainment medium. It's not a good place to be sending out messages.
Where do you think is a good place to send out messages?
Probably in the music, I think, is much stronger, but videos, we just try to make them sheerly for entertainment value. We used to make them, I mean, we made them for years before they called them videos. But in those days, you
those dancing cameras.
Yeah, in those days, you just pull up and they'd say, right, The Waiting, you know, we're going to play that so we don't have to go on Merv Griffin or something, you know, send over a tape. Because a lot of honky TV shows you didn't want to go on, you know, so you'd send over a tape of a refugee or something. And then later on, they started to call them videos. But,
how come you've never done a live album or a greatest hits album?
I don't know. We did, you know, during the time I was off, I mixed a double live album, and that was compiled of tours from '77 till '83, and I've actually finished the whole album. It's on the shelf, and I just at the last minute didn't want to put it out because we'd been away a long time, and I didn't want to just release old stuff, you know, which basically to me was just putting out the greatest hits, which I didn't want. I wanted you know, something new to come out before. So maybe we'll release. We've been recording this tour too a little bit. So maybe at some point we'll put it out. I don't know.
How do you feel about doing your hits in concert? Do you feel compromised if people scream out for the old favorites?
No, I'm glad we have them. On this tour, I've been playing 8 of the 9 songs on the new album, and
which one aren't you playing?
I'm not playing Mary's New Car, just, I don't know why. But we just never got around to that one. But it's amazing that they do accept them very well, you know. And we do play all the hits, too. But, you know, you can say, oh, I don't want to play, you know, Breakdown or whatever. But when you get to that point and when you start it and you see, you know, how happy you've made them or whatever, then you tend to enjoy it. I think if I went to see somebody, if I went to see Bob Dylan, I'd like to hear Tambourine Man, you know, I'm that way too. I don't think you should ever get that hip that you don't play the songs they came to see. I always want to see the hits when I go see somebody play, but it can be a little tedious, but you find ways of keeping yourself interested.
Are you still shy? The last time we spoke, you said you were really off stage. You were very shy, and people didn't expect that.
I think, I think I'm probably shy, more shy than people realize. A lot of times, you know, I've read that I'm rude or aloof or whatever.
Moody.
Yes.
Glum.
I'm pretty likable, but I'm just, yeah, shy. I've never been a person to. Never been good to have a lot of, even in school I didn't like it if people were looking at me or anything, you know.
Is that why you wear the sunglasses all the time?
Probably, you know, this is insecurity at its best. You know. But I'm getting better at it. I think I'm better at it. Going away for a long time made a lot of changes.
What do you mean going away
I
for
mean,
a long
like
time?
just being in my house for a couple of years, where I was literally.
Didn't you travel though also?
I did travel around and stuff, but I was never like in front of a TV camera, or never did an interview for 3 years, or had anything to do with the music business other than just recording in the studio. And when I came back to with the Southern Accents album, we did a lot of press and things that, you know, because we thought it was in order to fill people in on what we've been doing. And I sort of enjoy it. You know, I mean, everyone's been, you know, really nice, and it hasn't been hard. There's a point where you draw a line where you say, that's all I can take tonight. But whereas I think the last tour I did, I never spoke with anyone, you know, and or saw anybody other than the band, and it wasn't nearly as much fun as seeing people, you know. This one's a lot nicer and more relaxed in that sense.
You told me that you thought you had a weird voice. Still? Or was this just
dirt
first?
on me. Well, I thought, you know, I don't have a what you'd call like a strong, I mean, like a singer's voice. I'm not like, say, like Steve Perry or somebody who can sing these incredible high notes, or Aretha, you know, or somebody that can really, yeah. I'm more of I just try to make the song believable, you know, and though I think I'm a better singer than I used to be. I'm getting better at it.
Is that more confident, or?
Yeah, maybe. Just doing it more and developing a style more, you know.
There's been much made about the Southern theme of this record.
Yeah.
Is something that you felt strongly about, sort of a reaffirmation of your Southern heritage or traditions?
Yeah, it was just, I'd been spending time there, which I hadn't done in years, and going back 10 years later, you could see, you know, I could see it a little differently, and there was also just a wealth of material down there. And so it really was just a place to start from, you know. I didn't want to write an album of love songs again, at that point anyway. And I found it interesting, and the songs were coming easily. I never intended to paint a complete picture of the South, you know, Dave Marsh. But I just, you know, I mean, you know, that you have the Dave Marshes of the world, you know, where's this guy from, you know? And he's like, you know, oh, well, it's not a complete picture. He didn't say anything about black people. Well, you know, how does he know? But anyway, you should go out of Bruce's kitchen and see the world.
You
know?
really
But
read, wait a minute. You read reviews?
No, I didn't read the reviews. Somebody told me about it.
One of your friends, no doubt. Yeah, they always
but,
call up.
No, I was really offended at that because, you know, I thought, well, I never intend, it's not a story.
It's not Gone with the Wind.
No, it was just like to be little snapshots of things around the South, you know, just the theme. It was never meant to be a book.
Do you think that you haven't been taken seriously enough, or do you think when something like this happens that you're taken too seriously?
I think I've been taken very seriously this time, but I have no complaints, really. I think most of I was really pleasantly surprised with the reviews of this album. I think they've been very kind to me, really. I don't really take them. I think over the years I've gotten where I have a little bit thicker skin, but you still, you know, you don't want to read a bad review.
No, you told me once that it could ruin your afternoon.
Yes, it can. Did I say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said that if that was all it ruined, that was okay.
Yeah, well, it don't hang with you very long, you know. But, no, I think they were pretty fair with me on this one. I was very pleased with the audience and the press and everything because, I mean, I was prepared to be completely shot down, you know, because...
You mean just for doing things differently?
Well, yeah, you never know, especially with, you know, your longtime fans, you know. I didn't know if they were going to put it on and go, wow, what is this, you know. But to be accepted, that is very encouraging because you feel like, well, now I have the license to experiment, you know. They like me rather than just a particular song or sound. Because there's a lot that we can do. And you say, well, that'll never happen to me. I'm never going to get in a rut like the rest of these guys. But then you look up and you go, oh, you might be in a rut. So you just have to, you know, bang your way through it. And I think we're through it. You know, I don't know what we'll do next. I don't know. Maybe back to guitars and drums on it. I don't know. You know, but.
Well, what are you doing next after this tour is over?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it.
Do you feel burnt out?
Not at all. I feel great. The audiences have been, you know how, it's an old cliche of how you need the immediate feedback of an audience, everyone talks, but it's true, you know. I didn't know how much I missed it until I actually went down and played with a band one night, you know, out of the studio with no headphones or anything. We went and just played. And boy, you know, I went home just higher than any drug could have ever gotten me, you know, off of that. And to see the audiences now, I still really, I think I enjoy the show as much as the audience, you know.
Do you have problems still writing songs?
Everyone has problems writing songs.
But you get a kick out of writing them, right? You like
Oh, well,
writing
there's no
songs.
bigger rush than when you know you've written a good one. The last Southern Accents was a very easy album to write for me. It was an intensely hard one to record and to realize on tape, but it was one of the easier ones I've ever written.